And tonight, hey y'all. Uh, I know you guys. I always start out with this that I apologize because I have not been consistent, but I want to thank you guys. I want to start out this episode with gratitude. You guys, I'm still getting many downloads. I'm still getting people contacting me from different areas like Canada and New York because they just want to tell their story. So, if you have been on my podcast before, people have listened to your story and been inspired. And that's what it's all about, inspiration. Well, so much has happened since the last couple of months that I have recorded. Um, I've had an epiphany. And I think that I am going to actually name this episode Epiphany. I am faced with a decision because I am going to be, I don't want to say it, but I just want to say this that I am going to be in a position where I have to make a big decision. That's all I can say right now. As I don't want to put it out there for the wrong people to misconstrue and make me have to make that decision faster to have to make it. Does that make any sense? So today I was inspired to do a new episode because of a situation that my goddaughter was experiencing, and she contacted me and she was like, Godma, can you please just help me get the word out? I have a friend that is missing. At this point, when she was talking to me, it had been 11 days. There was no big search cruise or nothing. Nothing was really truly being done. And she was just worried to, I don't like to say that word, but a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. She was just beside herself with grief, actually. And I said, I would, post her missing flyer. I would repost. I don't necessarily know what I can do being where I work. And that really hit my heart hard. Like, I am truly in my dream job. However, it is kind of hindering me from being able to help people the way I want to help people. But the way that I want to help people does not pay my bills. What does one do? I've always been told if something is tugging at you and won't stop, that is something that you're called to do. I don't know on what level we're called to do things. I don't know why we're called to do things. I don't know why certain things resonate with our spirits to do and other things don't. It just does. Nevertheless, I reposted, and today they were gathering at the apartment where the young lady lived, and it was her last known location. She had, not been heard of. And this is, where the family and friends decided to just gather together. And I don't know, nobody really had an absolute plan about what they were gonna do, right? They just felt in their spirit, we need to gather and just try to figure something out. Even if we just look at the ground or ask questions to the neighbors, like they felt that the young lady was still alive. And I watched these families and friends come together and just search the ground for clues and ask around. And I talked to the family, and the aunt was saying, I feel like these people think that she doesn't have family and that they've taken advantage of an independent young woman. And I think about how much trust we put in people, how much trust we put in our neighbors. I mean, you don't want to live in fear, right? You don't want to sit around wondering if your neighbor's gonna kidnap you or abuse you or misuse you. But what does one do in this world? And it just really got me to thinking that independence is beautiful, but we should stay connected to someone or someone's. We should check in every now and again, share our location. People are even telling me about Life 360 that we can get for our loved ones because of the world we live in. It is wicked. It is wicked people. It just hurts my heart, my daughter and my granddaughter, to have to always be on. I mean, and this is nothing new, right? I'm not talking about a new phenomenon. I'm just saying, in these times, we have a way to stay connected to our people. We have a way to stay checked in. These cell phones, right? We have a way to stay checked in. And it's nothing wrong. What are you doing so much, young people? And sometimes old people, because we don't want to be bothered, or they don't want to be bothered, right? What are we doing so much that we don't want nobody to know where we are? If you go missing, your loved ones will want to know what happened. Don't believe that there's nobody in this world that won't be concerned. I saw people out there today, and guess what? All of a sudden, she was found. They always believed that she was somewhere in that apartment complex. That same complex had another woman to go missing and killed in July. So they always had that inkling, that notion. And because her people, I believe, this is just my opinion, because we gathered there today and they saw that she had people that cared about her, all of a sudden you're telling me she was found? One of the tenants said, I didn't know she had family and friends. We fed her. We were the ones taking care of her. So even if you have family members that aren't checking in, check in on them. And I just want to not go on and on, but just to say independence should never mean isolation. Independence is a beautiful thing. Today, I'm so grateful to share that they found her, to never underestimate what can happen when a community decides to show up. We're seeing that in a lot of other areas. We really need to get back. We are in times where we need to get back to community and not so much isolation, but that's what we are really, really getting into, so much isolation. That sounds like you connect with someone. If it's not your blood family, choose a friend, choose a coworker, choose a church member, choose someone that can, attest if you're dating, especially safety, connection. I mean, it is part of the epiphany. That's the first part. The second part, what am I supposed to be doing with my voice? So let me tell you another story. So yesterday, I'm at a brunch with a classmate from college. I've been out of college 30 years, maybe even more now. And one of the people that she had, long story short, because my stories can be pretty long. One of the people that were at the brunch Her mom was my professor in college. In college, I learned mass communication, right? And I remember having two professors that made me want to be a broadcaster. I never got the opportunity to be a newscaster because I did go to Career Day to Channel 12 in my hometown because in my mind I was going to be a newscaster and then take Oprah's place when she retired. But life had a different plan for me, right? Okay. Hmm. My ADHD is kicking in. So we're sitting at the table and she goes, I know you from somewhere. And it was just like that familiar spirit, type deal, like what, you go through what job, what church, did you, mutual friends on social media, and we just couldn't get that connection. So she called her mom. Now, mind you, her mom's 84 years old. I didn't even remember her name. I knew it was a female, and I knew it was a male. And when she said her mom's name, I was like, yeah, that was my other teacher. So she says, my mom's not too there, but, so she's talking to her mom, and her mom says, let's talk to her. What? So I talked to her, and she said this to me: don't lose your broadcasting voice. Don't let it go. Out of the blue, I didn't tell this woman where I was in life, if I needed to transition to take care of myself in order to take care of my bills, my current job's not gonna do it anymore. And I was just so upset because I love, love, love my job. And life makes us choose between doing work we love and doing work to pay bills. Or maybe we make ourselves choose. I don't know, but I got bills to pay for. I gotta eat, I gotta have a roof over my head. I gotta take care of myself, right? And at the time, I thought that meant don't let go of your job. You're just going to have to hustle and bustle and make up for the difference. But I would have to hustle and bustle a lot. And I am a woman of a certain age with certain things that have happened to my body that says I cannot hustle and bustle 40, 50, 60, 70 hours just to do my dream. And then today, I get the call and they're like, can you just come up and come and do, record some videos, get it out, go live. And I was just like, well, can I? Because I don't want to get in trouble at work, but I want to help. Man, I believe again that because we were out there and we were gathering that she was found. But I also believe that in my mind, and I could be Delulu, right? They saw somebody out there with a camera. They saw somebody out there conducting interviews. And I helped my community for free. And it was more rewarding than a check. Epiphany. Epiphany. Now, yesterday, I had another epiphany. I was going to brunch and I saw this flower shop. It's a plant shop in Springfield, and it's called Fresh Plants or something like that. Because I'm going to do another podcast on them. So don't worry, I'm going to get the name for you. But I saw this shop and I saw a black woman and a black man, and I just had to go inside. And I went inside, and it was the most peaceful shop, and it had plants in it. And I go in my head, not out loud, because I'm sure these people have done their research, right? Who is buying plants like this? Because I clearly have a brown thumb, but my grandmother had a green thumb. But it was so peaceful in there. And it was a husband and a wife, and they had built this business together. And they had a picture of Andre 3000 in there, the black art, um, Diana Ross's daughter. Um, Gosh, you guys, you can help me. Put it in the comments. Um, it was just the most peaceful shop. It smelled good. It just felt good. And I said, I'm gonna tell people about this shop. But I end up circling back and said, something makes me want to put you on the podcast. I just feel like there's simply a story here to see a couple in a plant shop. Like, I don't know why having this plant shop resonated so much with my soul, but it just did. It really, really did. It just blew my mind. And I said, would you guys mind being on my podcast? And she was like, no. I said, how long have you been open? She's like, a couple months. And I thought I could help businesses, but I could start a series, the story behind the business. It's okay to live presents the story behind the business. There's a story behind this business, and I can't wait. I didn't ask any more questions because you guys know I love raw footage. I love finding out in real time things about people. It makes me so very excited. And I learned recently how to, I mean, with the simplest of equipment. I could set up on scene and interview people and help them get business. Again, I don't know how I can monetize that, but the feeling that I get from helping, it has to be my calling because I'm so excited. I feel so energized about it. I just want to do this. So the part of that epiphany was realizing what is my journey here. Now, people hate when I say this, but I have more days behind me than I have in front of me. It's okay to live is expanding from it's okay to live because my son was murdered, siblings who lost siblings because my sister was murdered. It's okay, dad, to helping dads in the community. And now the story behind the business. That's my brand. Today, I literally help someone who had lost a missing person. So this, what I build, I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know that I'm leaving my footprint on this world, whether I make millions or thousands, which would be good, right? But it makes me feel better about my situation. It makes me feel better about having to live without my son. So I know it has to be from a higher place. If you don't believe in God or Allah or Jah, whatever you believe in, the universe, I don't know. But we have to be here for something more than just eating and partying and drinking and getting happiness. I think we're here, well, I know, to help others. Like, I feel like, and I don't never have any hard research, and maybe I could bore you with the facts of the barter system and how things used to be back in the day, but I feel like if Bob had some chickens and John had a cow, there was some type of help with the community that went along. Now, maybe we talk about the separation and races and classes and different things like that. But I did see different things about family sharing foods and music and surviving. And sometimes I think the more we try to accomplish, the more we try to achieve, the more we try to acquire. And I'm going to stick with acquire because it makes us have to work to pay for it, right? So I don't know what my transition will be from my day job because I need to get a job that can help me pay my bills. It's almost so scary to me to say it out loud. It's almost, it breaks my heart actually, because I had this job literally right out of college in the radio station. And I gave it up because I had to get a job that paid more. Is history repeating itself? Huh, I don't know. I look at the stats and I can't say, I have millions of viewers, right? I've had individual downloads from cities around the world, and that tells me strategically something important, that my platform has a local foundation because most of my listeners are in Jacksonville with an international footprint. And that's actually a great combination for what I'm doing, right? I wanted to become a national, huge podcaster. And I think sometimes that's what makes me lose the motivation, But I could become a local storyteller whose stories travel. I could do what matters. I could promote businesses. I could help others. There's a story behind every scene. I don't know. I really, really honestly don't understand sometimes what we're supposed to be doing. But I know I get moments where, like today, where I feel like my living is not in vain, where I feel like I make a difference. And even though people tell me this all the time, I guess when you're doing what you're doing, it doesn't truly feel like you're doing a lot, especially if you have the spirit of comparison, right? If you're looking at a podcaster that is getting millions of views, they have advertisement, they're evolving, and everybody's tuning in to listen to them. They've put in the work. And so that's when I have to ask myself, Tanya, have you put in the work? Or are you putting out podcasts every now and then and again and hoping to become this viral sensation? Now, I could sit here and definitely say, oh, it doesn't matter as long as I touch one. I would be lying. Honestly, I would be lying. And I know that, you know, I absolutely want that. But, sometimes even when I have a video that has a couple of comments on it and people are really being rough, I'm like, ooh, could I really deal with that type of reach? But then I thought, is my first goal reach? Do I have to wait until I have a huge following? Do I have something already? One day my daughter told me, Mom, what if you've already accomplished what you've supposed to accomplish? That you've accomplished so much. You're always trying to accomplish more. I felt proud. She says, You've overcome so much. You're pretty much like a miracle. Like your son was literally murdered, and you still go out of your way to help people. You still give. You help angel moms. You help angel dads. And sometimes you still feel it's not enough. Epiphany. Epiphany. I already have a voice. And I don't know who I'm speaking to. So let me just say it a different way. You already have a voice. You already know how to make people feel something. You already know how to tell a story. You already know how to talk to a business owner, how to make them feel comfortable enough to talk to you. I know that it is saturated, but it is not saturated with you. Maybe you're only going to help your cousin. Maybe you're only going to help your aunt or your sister. But if you didn't do that, if you didn't do what you could do, then you wouldn't even help those people. Sometimes we forget about the people that are right in our family that need us, that are right in our friend circle that need us, that are right in our association. Maybe it's our homeowners association, our coworkers, a stranger, our church members, our lodge members, our fraternity members, our sorority members. They need us. We are all that we got. And when we go so far to say it just doesn't matter, it's just not true. It is just not true. If I could tell you guys the story of It's Okay to Live, I'm sitting in getting my glasses done, and the young lady, or the woman, I should say, that is doing my glasses, she was having a bad day. And sometimes that truly angers me when a customer based person is having a bad day and they just can't get over it. But I was so compelled to have empathy for her that day. I was so compelled to just relax and let her just kind of be, right? And so, me being me, and my daughter always tells me I'm always, asking people things. I said, are you okay? And she says, well, my son was killed and I'm planning his birthday. And she wanted to do this big celebration. And I said, I knew it. I knew that we had some sort of connection. And I looked her in the face and I said, You cannot let people tell you. I said, I can tell you this because I know how you feel because somebody murdered my son as well. It's okay to live. And that's where it was born from. And every time I would go in Walmart, we became social media friends. She was my new angel mom friend. And then there was a young lady, I gave her a shirt at an event. She literally said she had planned her entire suicide. She reached for a shirt in the middle of the night and put it on. She woke up the next day to carry out the suicide. I just, that word is so hard for me to say. She looks at her shirt and she sees the hashtag. So now it has gone from mothers who've lost children, dads who've lost children, siblings who've lost children, siblings who've lost siblings, to suicide prevention. Because it does say it's okay to live, even though it came from living after the loss of your child because you feel so guilty outliving your child. It is the worst feeling ever. It is the worst feeling ever. To helping someone who just doesn't want to live in this world anymore. Then I thought, what else could It's Okay to Live do? Well, maybe there should be parties, not just because there's a birthday, not just because there's an anniversary, not just because there is a celebration, but just because you are alive. And I said, I'm going to do event planning. I just did my first wedding. I've been working, guys. I haven't been doing podcasts, but I have been working. I didn't realize it, but I started day of planning wedding services. I did my first wedding. Like, this is literally, I think sometimes we just need to look in the mirror. Look, I happen to have one right here and say, girl or guy, you have been surviving. You have been working. You have been creating. You have been doing some things. Talk to yourself in the window. Congratulations. When nobody else is giving you the congratulations, when nobody else is giving you an atta girl and an atta boy, pat yourself on the back because you survived. Somebody said that they literally have been surviving. I wish I could find that video. I gotta find a way. I remember I used to use OBS and I would play a video and then talk about the video. I'm gonna get back to that too. I'm gonna get back to doing live stuff on social media so I can have interaction too. Sometimes I have a hard time staying on track. But today's been pretty good. So let me get back on track. So sometimes you need to be in the mirror and saying, you go, girl. Yeah, I'm telling my age, you go, boy. Because this world is not going to give you that. Your numbers may not climb on social media. No one may like your posts, but they're looking. I guarantee you. Sometimes I'll look at a post, I'll have 19 likes and 1,900 views. I don't know why or how that happens, even with my YouTube. I mean, I'm still uploading to YouTube. Sometimes I get only 40 views, 10 views. I mean, somebody watched it. Sometimes I'll be lucky enough to get feedback, but sometimes we have to really just do things because it's what we want to do and it makes us feel good. You know what I'm saying? We have to what what do you do when no one's looking? I remember someone asking me that when I was younger. What do you do when no one's looking? Are you only doing things because someone's looking or someone's giving you a round of applause? Yes, we are human, made of flesh and blood. And we need that feedback. We want that feedback. But sometimes you just have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you go, girl. You did that. You got up even though your son could not anymore. You gave back because that's what your calling is. Now, Okay, you're like, well, I don't know what my calling is. This is when you have to soul search. This is when you have to journal. This is when you have to simply, you know, really just get in and do the work. Do the self work. You know, I know that I always had an inkling for things, and that even though it causes me heartburn and butterflies, I'm like, I still do it. I just got another MC job, and I love, love, love it. But the whole time my throat is dry, my, I'm stumbling over my words, but I absolutely love it. And I know that's my calling. I remember a girlfriend telling me, man, you're lucky because you know what your calling is. But it is an active process of self reflection. More importantly, it's experimentation. I mean, I've done some things and I'm like, okay, that's not what I'm good at. I know my lane. You have to pay attention to what brings you energy. It's rarely a single lightning bolt moment like they do on TV. It's like, ah. Instead, it is an ever evolving path that matches your natural skills with the need of the world. Now, listen to what I'm saying, because we can get into our own needs so much that we only think about self. We become selfish. Even though I did a whole podcast on selfish being the new selfless, it's not the same. Again, we are here for community. When you reflect on your past and your present, when you're doing this self reflection, you should look for clues in your childhood. Remember something that you love to do before anyone told you how to work or succeed. Epiphany. Notice what topics you naturally navigate towards, what you naturally read about, what you watch on social media, what you talk about when you have free time. In those moments in your life when you felt the most proud or useful, start journaling what those core values was. And sometimes, we're like, well, what if the things I watch most is jumping out of airplanes? I mean, you might need to explore that. And if you don't want to jump out of the airplane, maybe you can write stories about it. Maybe you can write a blog about it. Maybe you can research on it. And I mean, maybe you don't like the camera, okay? Maybe you just want to do audio. Maybe you want to do a group at the library of a group of people who like to jump out of airplanes. And maybe that's your journey. Sometimes we think our journey is huge. Sometimes we think it's so big, but sometimes it can be the most minute thing. Just pay attention to your physical energy. Notice tasks that drain you, but which ones leave you feeling alive and focused? No matter how I feel, if I push myself to do a podcast, I get like my nerve endings just feel so good. It just feels so energized. Accept that trial and error and even failure are a normal part of learning what fits you best. Maybe it's your job, but you can look beyond your job, because if your job is a teacher, then I can get that, right? If your job is a doctor or a nurse, I can get that. But if your job does not give you a fulfilling meaning, a fulfilling feeling, you can find meaning through volunteering, community support, creative arts, or like I said, just being a good friend or family member. Maybe your calling is just to talk to your friends when they're going through a bad time, and you don't have to be certified life skills coach like me, or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But build a life where you just don't work and come home. Build a life where work pays the bills while your deeper purpose is expressed through your daily choices and passions. Epiphany. Ask yourself, what activities do I like? What hobbies make me lose track of time? What kind of problems in the world do you care about fixing? And just don't think that you're so small that you can't. Just brainstorm. You could probably come up with something that's so practical that no one has ever thought of. Just imagine that. Imagine leaving your footprint on the world. I think about that. It is kind of morbid, but you guys will be able to listen to my audio and view my videos long after I'm gone. Now, the audio, I don't know because I feel like Buzzsprout, you have to pay, but I'm going to research and say, will my YouTube videos be around forever? Let me just type that in right now. Will my YouTube, I'm curious, videos be around forever? No, but they can last a very long time if you maintain the account. Maybe people can download them. You know, I have this note my daughter literally hates, but I always update it. And I'm going to tell her, download the videos so that you can have them. We log in every few years, your content stays up. So it'll be a few years after I'm gone. But yeah, they delete the accounts after a while. I'm going to probably start downloading my own archive just for my daughter, my granddaughter, and when my daughter has other kids. Yeah, that's something else you can do. You can just record audio for them to have afterwards. Anyways, I'm just a vessel doing the best I can. One of my favorite songs is Nina Simone, Misunderstood. And she says, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. And that's my biggest goal outside of It's Okay to Live is just to learn to be, just to make the best out of the rest of the time I have left. We don't know how much it is, right? But on the average, we live what, 76, 79 years? So I'm close to that, closer than I was when I was born, right? I don't know. Y'all know me and my emotions, they're all over the place, but Tanzanites, please, please, please know that content sharers, the most expensive thing you can do is share their content, word of mouth, tell other people to listen. If you know someone that wants to be on the show, have them to leave a comment on any of the podcast formats. You can also send a email to it's okay to live at gmail.com. If you want to support, please hit me up and I will give you the information to support the platform because I'm just going to give it back to the community. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for listening. I simply love my Tanzanites. Always remember it's okay to live. Somebody wants you here. I know it may not feel that way. It may feel easier to not be here before your time, but you're here still for a reason. That's the one thing that helps me deal with my son's death. And I put it on his tombstone. I said, your work here is done. I keep waking up every day because I got work to do. And I am going to do just that.